Sometimes a child recognizes a miracle long before adults recognize the truth. The October breeze drifted gently across Grant Park, carrying the scent of fresh coffee, fallen leaves, and the laughter of hundreds of families gathered for Chicago's annual Children's Hope Charity Festival. Colorful tents stretched across the green lawn. Volunteers welcomed guests with bright smiles. Musicians played soft acoustic melodies beneath clear blue skies. For most people, it was simply another beautiful Saturday morning. For one little girl, it was the day she had been waiting for without even knowing why. Emily walked beside her mother, swinging a tiny paper bag decorated with hand-drawn butterflies. Every few steps, she glanced around with wide blue eyes, fascinated by balloons floating above the crowd and children chasing bubbles through the crisp autumn air. Her mother, Sarah Collins, adjusted the strap of her worn leather handbag before gently brushing a loose strand of blonde hair away from Emily's face. "Stay close, sweetheart." "I will, Mommy." Emily smiled. She always meant it. Sarah smiled back, though the tiredness beneath her gentle expression could not be hidden completely. Years of raising her daughter alone had taught her to find joy in small moments, because those were often the only moments life freely offered. Nearby, television cameras quietly gathered along a red carpet leading toward the main stage. Reporters checked microphones. Photographers adjusted camera lenses. Security officers spoke softly into earpieces. Someone important had just arrived. A sleek black sedan rolled to a stop beside the entrance. The conversations around the park gradually faded. Doors opened. Nathan Carter stepped out. At 39 years old, the billionaire founder and chief executive officer of Carter Global Foundation had become one of the country's most respected business leaders. Newspapers admired his success. Employees respected his humility. Children knew him simply as the man who built hospitals, libraries, and scholarship programs for families who needed hope more than headlines. He acknowledged the welcoming crowd with an easy smile. Not rehearsed, not performed, simply genuine. As he walked toward the stage, volunteers greeted him one after another. Parents thanked him. Children waved enthusiastically. Nathan paused often, shaking hands, listening carefully, kneeling whenever a child wanted to show him a drawing or tell him a story. Nothing about him suggested hurry. Across the lawn, Emily suddenly stopped walking. Her smile disappeared, not because she was frightened, because something inside her had become strangely certain. She stared through the moving crowd, past colorful banners, past families filling the walkways, past dozens of strangers, until her eyes found one man. Her breathing became quicker, almost joyful. Sarah noticed immediately. "What is it, sweetheart?" Emily never answered. She slowly released her mother's hand. Then, before Sarah could react, the little girl began running. She slipped between laughing families, darted past volunteers carrying donation boxes, and hurried across the open lawn with surprising determination. "Emily!" Sarah's voice rose above the cheerful crowd. People instinctively stepped aside as the little girl continued running toward the arriving billionaire. Nathan turned at the sound of tiny footsteps approaching. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Emily reached him. She wrapped both arms tightly around his waist as though greeting someone she had missed for years. The photographers lowered their cameras in stunned silence. Security officers froze where they stood. Nathan looked down in complete surprise. Emily tilted her face upward, her eyes shining with innocent certainty. Then, with the happiest smile anyone in the crowd had ever seen, she whispered one simple word. "Daddy." 15 feet away, Sarah stopped walking. The color drained from her face. For one impossible heartbeat, the entire world seemed to stand perfectly still. No one spoke. The cheerful music drifting across the park suddenly felt impossibly distant, as though the entire festival had taken one long, silent breath. Nathan remained perfectly still. The little girl's tiny arms were wrapped around him with complete trust, her cheek resting gently against his tailored suit. He could have stepped away. He did not. Instead, he slowly lowered himself to one knee. His expression held neither fear nor confusion, only quiet curiosity. He looked into the child's bright blue eyes. "Hello there." His voice was warm. "What is your name?" The little girl smiled as though she already knew him. "Emily. It is nice to see you again." A faint crease appeared between Nathan's brows. Again. She nodded enthusiastically. You came back. Several reporters glanced at one another. Camera operators instinctively lowered their equipment. This no longer felt like a publicity event. It felt deeply personal. Across the walkway, Sarah finally reached them. Her breathing was uneven from running. I am so sorry. She gently touched Emily's shoulder. Sweetheart, come here. Emily looked back at her mother, then at Nathan. But Mommy. She pointed toward him with complete innocence. That is Daddy. A ripple of stunned whispers spread through the nearby crowd. Nathan quietly lifted one hand. The security officers immediately stopped advancing. It is all right. His calm voice settled the growing tension. No one is in trouble. Emily looked relieved. Nathan smiled gently. Would you tell me why you think I am your daddy? The little girl tilted her head as though the answer were obvious. Because you came. Sarah closed her eyes for a brief moment. Embarrassment flushed across her face. I promise. She has never done anything like this before. Nathan stood slowly. I believe you. His tone carried no judgment, only kindness. Emily reached into the small paper bag she had been carrying so carefully. I made this. She proudly held out a folded drawing. Nathan accepted it with both hands. The paper was slightly wrinkled. The crayons had colored far beyond the outlines. At the center stood a little girl holding hands with a very tall man beneath a bright yellow sun. Above them, written in careful block letters, were 4 simple words. My hero came back. Nathan stared quietly at the drawing. Something about it stirred an unfamiliar feeling deep inside him. Not recognition, not memory, something gentler, almost impossible to explain. When did you draw this? He asked softly. Last night. Emily beamed. I knew I would find you today. Sarah looked completely bewildered. We have never been here before. We only decided to come yesterday evening. Nathan looked from the drawing to Sarah. Their eyes met for the first time. She looked exhausted, not frightened anymore, simply confused. I am truly sorry, she said quietly. I do not know why she believes this. Nathan studied her face carefully. There was sincerity there. No calculation, no expectation, no attempt to gain attention. Only a mother desperately trying to understand her own daughter. Around them, the festival slowly returned to life. Children laughed again. Music resumed. But those standing nearby remained unusually quiet, sensing that something far greater than coincidence was unfolding. Nathan folded the drawing carefully instead of handing it back. Would it be all right if I kept this for a little while? Emily smiled brightly. You can. But do not lose it. I will not. He slipped the drawing carefully inside the inner pocket of his suit jacket, treating it with the same care another person might reserve for something priceless. Then he looked gently towards Sarah. I think there is a story here. He paused. And somehow, neither of us knows all of it. Nathan glanced toward the festival stage where organizers were quietly waiting for him. His keynote speech was scheduled to begin in less than 10 minutes. No one dared interrupt. Even his executive assistant remained several steps away, sensing that this conversation had become far more important than any prepared remarks. Nathan looked back at Sarah. Would you mind walking with me for a few minutes? She hesitated. Part of her wanted to leave immediately. Another part wanted answers just as desperately as her daughter seemed to believe she already had them. I think that would be all right. Emily smiled brightly. I knew you would say yes. Sarah looked down at her. Sweetheart, why do you keep saying that? The little girl shrugged gently. Because it already happened. Sarah blinked in confusion. Nathan offered a polite smile. I have learned not to underestimate the way children see the world. The 3 of them began walking slowly through a quieter section of the park, where maple trees covered the sidewalks with golden leaves. The festival sounds softened behind them. Families laughed in the distance. Children chased bubbles across the open grass. For a few peaceful moments, no one spoke. Then Emily suddenly reached into the pocket of her little cardigan. I almost forgot. She carefully unfolded another piece of paper. Unlike the colorful drawing she had given Nathan earlier, this one contained only a few pencil sketches. A tall man, a a little girl, a wooden park bench, and a bright kite floating high above them. Nathan stopped walking. His heartbeat slowed. He stared at the simple sketch much longer than he intended. Who drew this? I did. Emily smiled proudly. You taught me. Sarah immediately shook her head. No, sweetheart. You have never met Mr. Carter before today. Emily looked genuinely puzzled. Not today. She pointed at the drawing. Before. Nathan's eyes remained fixed on the paper. The image itself felt strangely familiar. Not because he remembered the drawing, because something about the scene awakened a memory that had been sleeping for years. A sunny afternoon. A city park. A bright red kite. A little girl laughing. He closed his eyes briefly. The memory disappeared before he could hold on to it. Sarah noticed the subtle change in his expression. Do you recognize something? Nathan answered honestly. I do not know. I feel like I should. He looked toward Emily again. Can you tell me where this happened? She pointed toward the western side of the park. Over there. Nathan followed her finger. There was only an ordinary playground, several walking paths, and rows of maple trees. Nothing unusual. Nothing remarkable. Yet his chest tightened with an emotion he could not explain. Emily took his hand without hesitation. Her tiny fingers fit naturally around his much larger hand. Come on. I want to show you. Sarah watched in complete disbelief. Her daughter had always been cautious around strangers. Always. Yet beside Nathan, she walked with effortless confidence, as though she had trusted him for years. The three of them reached an old wooden bench facing a wide-open lawn. Emily pointed excitedly. This is where you promised. Nathan looked at the bench. Its weathered wood showed years of rain and sunlight. There was nothing distinctive about it. Though a faint image flickered through his mind. Someone sitting here. A child crying. A small hand reaching upward. The memory vanished again before he could see the face. What promise? He asked quietly. Emily looked up at him with complete certainty. You told me. She smiled the same joyful smile she had worn all morning. That whenever I felt scared, I should look for the man who always keeps his promises. Sarah's breath caught. She had never heard those words before. Not from Emily. Not from anyone. Nathan stood perfectly still beneath the falling autumn leaves. Because deep inside, beyond memory and beyond reason, those words somehow sounded as though they had once belonged to him. The autumn breeze carried another shower of golden leaves across the quiet corner of the park. Nathan remained standing beside the weathered bench. His fingers rested lightly against the old wooden backrest, almost as though he expected the faded surface to answer the questions filling his mind. Sarah watched him carefully. You really do not remember? Nathan slowly shook his head. I remember fragments. A feeling. A place. But not enough to understand why your daughter believes we have already met. Emily sat happily on the bench swinging her legs. She looked completely at peace. Unlike the adults, she seemed untouched by uncertainty. She simply smiled at the man beside her. You promised you would come back. Nathan crouched beside her again. When did I say that? Emily thought for a moment. The day it rained. Sarah's expression changed. The day it rained? Emily nodded. The big rain. The scary one. Sarah quietly looked away. A memory surfaced almost immediately. It was 6 years ago. Her voice became softer. There was a terrible storm. My car stopped working a few blocks from here. Nathan listened without interrupting. I had almost no money. My phone battery had died. Emily was only a toddler. She smiled faintly. She was terrified of thunder. Nathan felt something tighten inside his chest. Sarah continued. A stranger stopped his car. He offered to help. He stayed with us until roadside assistance arrived. He gave Emily his jacket because she would not stop shivering. Emily immediately pointed at Nathan. Him. Sarah looked at her daughter with gentle patience. No, sweetheart. We never saw his face very clearly. It was raining too hard. Emily simply smiled. I did. Nathan closed his eyes. The sound of rain seemed to echo somewhere deep inside his memory. Wind. Headlights reflecting across wet pavement. A tiny child wrapped in an oversized suit jacket. Very slowly, another image appeared. A little girl crying because her favorite kite had been ruined by the storm. He remembered kneeling beside her. He remembered saying something to make her smile. Then, nothing. The memory dissolved once again. Nathan opened his eyes. I remember helping someone. His voice was barely above a whisper. But I never knew what happened afterward. Sarah folded her arms gently. I never knew your name. You left before the tow truck arrived. You refused any payment. You only smiled. Nathan looked toward the cloudy autumn sky. I was on my way to an important meeting. I almost kept driving. He paused. But something told me to stop. Emily reached into her little backpack. There. She carefully removed a faded navy blue handkerchief, folded with remarkable care despite its age. Nathan accepted it slowly. One corner carried embroidered initials. His own initials. His breathing became quieter. I have not seen this in years. Sarah stared at the cloth in complete disbelief. I kept it. I always hoped one day I might return it. Nathan smiled gently. You already did. Emily leaned against his shoulder with complete trust. I told Mommy you always keep your promises. Nathan looked at the little girl, then at Sarah. At that moment, the mystery no longer felt impossible. Not because he had discovered he was Emily's father, but because he finally understood something far more beautiful. A single act of kindness, offered on an ordinary rainy afternoon and forgotten by the man who gave it, had become the brightest memory of a little girl's childhood. And in her innocent heart, the man who had made her feel safe had never stopped being the hero who promised he would always come back. The old navy handkerchief rested quietly between Nathan's hands. Its fabric had faded with time. Its stitched initials remained clear. For a long moment, none of them spoke. Sometimes the smallest objects carried the greatest memories. Nathan smiled softly. I remember buying this when I was in college. I carried it for years. He looked toward Emily. I never imagined someone else had been protecting it all this time. Emily smiled proudly. I kept it safe. I knew you would need it someday. Sarah let out a quiet breath that almost became a laugh. She has said things like that ever since she was little. Nathan glanced toward her. What do you mean? Sarah sat beside her daughter on the weathered bench. When Emily was 3, she started talking about the kind man in the rain. I thought it would become an ordinary childhood memory. It never did. Nathan listened carefully. Every birthday, Sarah continued, she would leave an empty chair at the table. Nathan looked surprised. An empty chair? Emily nodded happily. It was yours. I did not know when you were coming, so I saved you a place. Nathan lowered his eyes. No business award, no magazine cover, no public recognition had ever touched him the way those simple words did. Sarah continued speaking gently. Whenever she saw someone helping another person, she would smile. Then she would say, Daddy is probably helping somebody today. Nathan felt his throat tighten. He had spent years building hospitals, funding scholarships, and supporting thousands of families across the country. Yet he had never realized that one forgotten afternoon had quietly become the foundation of one little girl's understanding of kindness. Emily looked up at him. You always help people. You helped us first. Nathan smiled. I wish I could say I always have. She reached for his hand again. You do now. The words were spoken with complete certainty. Children rarely measured people by perfection. They remembered how people made them feel. A volunteer approached carefully from the festival stage. Mr. Carter, the audience is ready whenever you are. Nathan thanked him with a polite nod. I will be there shortly. The volunteer quietly stepped away. Nathan remained seated beside the bench. He no longer felt rushed. He looked toward Sarah. Would the two of you do me a favor? She nodded. If we can. I would like you to sit in the front row during the program. Sarah hesitated. We do not have special passes. You do now. His smile was warm. I would be honored if my special guests were close enough for me to see. Emily clapped excitedly. I told you he would save us seats. Sarah looked at her daughter with affectionate disbelief. Did you know that too? Emily shrugged. I hoped. Nathan laughed softly. Hope, he realized, was often another name for faith that had not yet become reality. As they walked together toward the main stage, families smiled as they passed. Some recognized Nathan. Others simply noticed the little girl holding his hand with complete confidence. No one knew the story. Not yet. But those who watched could already sense something extraordinary. Not because of wealth. Not because of fame. Because kindness had quietly traveled across 6 years without asking for recognition. And somehow, it had found its way home through the heart of a child who had never forgotten the man who stopped in the rain when everyone else kept driving. The front row overlooked the festival stage. Emily sat between Sarah and Nathan as though the three of them had been sharing ordinary Saturdays for years instead of only a few remarkable minutes. She swung her feet beneath the folding chair. Every now and then, she looked up at Nathan with the same peaceful smile, the kind that expected nothing, the kind that simply trusted. Festival organizers welcomed the crowd. Children laughed beneath rows of colorful banners. Families settled into their seats while soft piano music drifted through the speakers. Then Nathan stepped onto the stage. The applause rose across the park. Hundreds of people stood. Many admired the successful businessman before them. Few understood that the most important lesson of his day had already happened before he ever reached the microphone. Nathan looked across the audience. His prepared speech rested inside a leather folder. He never opened it. Instead, he smiled gently. When I arrived this morning, he paused. I expected to speak about generosity. A quiet breeze carried fallen leaves across the stage. But life has a remarkable way of changing our plans. The audience listened carefully. Sometimes we believe kindness is measured by the size of a donation. He slowly shook his head. I do not believe that anymore. His eyes briefly found Emily in the front row. I believe kindness is measured by whether someone still feels safe because of something you did, long after you have forgotten doing it. The park became completely silent. Nathan continued. Years ago, I stopped to help a family during a storm. I thought it was a very small moment. I drove away believing life would simply continue. He smiled softly. Today I learned that the smallest moments often become the biggest memories. Sarah felt her eyes begin to fill. She looked toward her daughter. Emily was smiling proudly, not because people were applauding, because the promise she had carried inside her heart for years no longer belonged only to her. Now everyone could hear it. Nathan folded his hands. There is a child sitting here today who remembered one rainy afternoon long after I allowed myself to forget it. His voice became quieter. She reminded me that kindness does not disappear when we leave. It continues traveling through another person's life. A few people quietly wiped away tears. Others reached for the hands of those sitting beside them. Nathan smiled again. If every one of us chooses to stop for one stranger, if every one of us chooses compassion instead of convenience, we may never know how many futures quietly change because of that decision. The applause began slowly. Then it spread across the entire park. Not loud, not overwhelming, simply heartfelt. Nathan stepped away from the microphone. As he returned to the front row, Emily jumped to her feet. You did it. He laughed softly. I think you helped me. She nodded with complete confidence. I told you. Sarah looked at both of them. The strange uncertainty that had filled her heart that morning had slowly transformed into gratitude. There was no hidden secret, no forgotten family, no impossible mystery waiting to divide lives. Only a forgotten act of compassion that had somehow survived inside the memory of a child. Nathan turned toward Sarah. I have one more favor to ask. She smiled. I think I already know the answer. He looked toward Emily before speaking. Our foundation hosts a family picnic here every autumn. I hope this is not the last time we share a Saturday together. Emily answered before her mother could. We will come. She slipped her small hand into his once again. This time, no one watching wondered why. Because sometimes the strongest family bonds are not created by blood. They are quietly built through trust, kindness, and a promise that someone cared enough to keep. The festival slowly began to wind down. Children carried balloons toward the parking lot. Volunteers folded tables beneath the warm afternoon sun. The music became softer, almost blending into the gentle rustling of autumn leaves. Nathan walked beside Sarah and Emily toward the park entrance. No reporters followed them. His staff had quietly redirected every interview request. Some moments deserved privacy. Emily skipped happily between them. She held Nathan's hand with one hand and Sarah's with the other, smiling as though she had quietly solved a mystery that only adults had struggled to understand. Halfway down the path, they passed a small playground. Emily stopped. "Can we stay for 5 minutes?" Sarah looked at Nathan apologetically. "You probably have another meeting." Nathan smiled. "I do." He glanced toward the playground. "It can wait." Emily ran toward the swings with joyful energy. Her laughter floated through the crisp afternoon air. Sarah watched her for a long moment before speaking. "I never thanked you." Nathan looked at her. "You already did." "No." She slowly shook her head. "I thanked you 6 years ago for helping us. Today, I want to thank you for believing her." Nathan quietly slipped both hands into the pockets of his coat. "I believed you both. There is a difference." Sarah smiled faintly. Most people would have assumed she was simply imagining things. Nathan watched Emily carefully pumping her legs higher on the swing. Children imagine many things. He paused. "But genuine gratitude is rarely one of them." Sarah nodded. "I spent years wondering why she remembered that day so clearly. I almost encouraged her to forget." Nathan turned toward her. "I am glad you never did." A comfortable silence settled between them. Not awkward, simply peaceful. Nearby, Emily climbed down from the swing and began helping a younger child reach a colorful kite that had landed beneath a low tree branch. She handed it back with a bright smile. The younger child's parents thanked her warmly. Emily waved as though helping people required no recognition at all. Nathan smiled. She learned something important that day. Sarah looked toward her daughter. "I think she taught me something too." Nathan nodded. "And today, I think she taught me." Emily hurried back carrying a bright red maple leaf she had picked from the grass. "This one is perfect." She carefully placed it inside Nathan's hand. "So you remember today too." He studied the leaf for a moment. Its colors glowed brilliantly beneath the afternoon sun. "I will." He looked at Sarah. "I have another idea." She listened quietly. "Our foundation is starting a program that recognizes ordinary people whose small acts of kindness change someone else's life." Sarah smiled. "That sounds wonderful. I would like the very first story to be yours." She immediately shook her head. "No." Nathan looked surprised. She smiled warmly. "It is not our story. It belongs to everyone who has ever stopped to help a stranger without expecting anything in return." Nathan stood silently for several seconds. Then he smiled. "You are right." Emily slipped her small hand into his once again. "We can share it." Nathan looked down at her. "How?" She grinned. "We just tell everybody to stop when somebody needs help." Such a simple answer. Yet somehow, it felt wiser than every speech he had ever written. As the afternoon sun settled lower across the park, the three of them walked slowly toward the exit together. No promises about becoming a family. No impossible expectations. Only a quiet understanding that sometimes the people who change our lives are not those who stay forever. They are the ones whose kindness continues walking beside us long after the moment itself has passed. Several months passed. Winter quietly gave way to spring. The maple trees that had once covered Grant Park with golden leaves now stretched fresh green branches toward a bright April sky, as though the city itself had been given another chance to begin again. Life slowly settled into a gentle rhythm. Every few weeks, Nathan, Sarah, and Emily met for simple afternoons together. Sometimes they shared lunch after one of the foundation's community events. Sometimes they visited the children's library Nathan had recently helped renovate. Sometimes they simply walked through the park where everything had begun. Nothing about those afternoons felt extraordinary. That was exactly what made them precious. Emily never stopped calling him Daddy. Not because anyone asked her to. Not because anyone corrected her. Because in her heart the word had never described biology. It described safety. Nathan had long since stopped trying to change it. One Saturday morning, They visited a newly opened community center supported by the Carter Foundation. Children filled the building with laughter. Parents gathered around long tables while volunteers prepared art supplies for the weekend program. Nathan quietly stepped aside to speak with several organizers. Sarah remained near the entrance, helping younger children hang colorful paper butterflies across the activity room. Emily wandered from table to table, admiring every drawing she could find. Then she noticed a little boy sitting alone. His crayons rested untouched beside a blank sheet of paper. Emily walked over without hesitation. "Why are you not drawing?" The little boy shrugged. "I am not good at it." Emily smiled kindly. "My first butterflies looked funny too." He looked at her uncertainly. "What if mine are ugly?" Emily thought for a moment. Then she answered with complete sincerity. "My mommy says kind pictures do not have to be perfect. And my daddy says helping people is more important than looking perfect." The little boy picked up a blue crayon. Together they began drawing. Across the room, Nathan had quietly witnessed the entire conversation. He remained perfectly still. Sarah joined him a moment later. "What are you watching?" Nathan smiled without taking his eyes off the children. "A lesson." Sarah followed his gaze. Emily laughed as the little boy proudly added bright yellow wings to his butterfly. The empty page had become filled with color. "I used to think kindness ended when the moment ended," Nathan said softly. "Now I understand something different." Sarah looked toward him. "What is that?" "It keeps traveling." He paused. "Sometimes through the person who received it. And sometimes," he smiled gently, "through the child who was quietly watching." Sarah felt warmth spread across her heart. Everything suddenly made sense. Emily had not simply remembered one rainy afternoon. She had carried it forward. Without realizing it, she had transformed one forgotten act of compassion into countless new acts of kindness. The volunteer coordinator approached with a grateful smile. "I have never seen children become friends so quickly." Nathan looked toward Emily again. "I think they recognize kindness before adults do." The coordinator nodded thoughtfully before returning to the activity tables. Emily suddenly looked across the room and waved excitedly. "Mommy! Daddy! Come see!" Nathan and Sarah walked over together. The children proudly held up their finished picture. 2 butterflies rested beneath a wide blue sky. Above them, written in careful letters, was a simple sentence. "Kindness always finds someone new." Nathan felt a quiet smile spread across his face. He realized that the promise made beneath a storm years ago had never truly belonged to him. It now belonged to every heart Emily touched. And perhaps, that was how hope was always meant to grow. 1 year later, autumn returned to Chicago once again. Golden leaves drifted gently across Grant Park, almost exactly as they had on the morning when one little girl had run through a crowd without hesitation, following nothing more than the certainty inside her heart. The Children's Hope Charity Festival had grown even larger. Families filled every pathway. Volunteers welcomed newcomers with warm smiles. Music floated softly through the crisp afternoon air. Near the entrance stood a new bronze plaque beside a young maple tree. Its inscription was simple: "In honor of every quiet act of kindness that continues long after the moment has passed." Few visitors knew the story behind those words. Sarah did. Nathan did. Emily certainly did. She ran ahead with the joyful confidence that had never left her. A little older now, a little taller, still carrying a paper bag filled with drawings. Nathan walked beside Sarah at an easy pace. Neither of them rushed. Neither of them felt the need to explain what their friendship had become. Life had found its own gentle rhythm, built on trust, strengthened by respect, held together by kindness. Emily stopped beneath the maple tree and carefully removed a folded picture from her bag. "I made one more." Nathan accepted it with the same care he had shown every drawing she had ever given him. The picture showed 3 people walking together beneath colorful autumn leaves. No grand buildings, no expensive cars, no stage. Only 3 smiling figures holding hands while butterflies floated through the sky. Across the top she had written, "The people who kept their promise." Nathan smiled quietly. "I think this may be my favorite." Emily giggled. "You say that every time." "Because every time is true." Sarah watched them with peaceful eyes. A year earlier, she had frozen in confusion. Now she understood something she had never expected. Some people entered your life because of destiny. Others entered because of kindness. The second lasted even longer. A festival volunteer approached carrying a small microphone. "Mr. Carter, we would love for you to plant this year's hope tree." Nathan looked toward Emily. "Would you help me?" She nodded immediately. Together they carried a young maple sapling toward the freshly prepared garden bed. Sarah joined them. The three worked side by side, gently covering the roots with rich soil before watering the small tree together. Children gathered nearby. Parents quietly watched. No one saw a billionaire. No one saw a struggling single mother. They simply saw three people caring for something that would one day offer shade to strangers they would never meet. Nathan brushed a little soil from his hands. Trees and kindness have something in common. Emily looked up. "What is that?" "You may never sit beneath the shade of the one you plant." She thought carefully. "That is okay. Somebody else will." Nathan smiled. "Exactly." The afternoon sun settled lower across the park. Golden light filtered through the branches overhead, surrounding the small tree with quiet warmth. Emily slipped one hand into Sarah's. The other found Nathan's. No explanation was needed. No labels were required. Some families are connected by blood. Some are connected by choice. And some are connected forever by one forgotten moment of compassion that quietly changed every life it touched. As the breeze carried another shower of autumn leaves across the park, the little maple tree swayed gently beside them. Its roots had only just begun to grow, much like hope itself, because the greatest legacy we leave behind is rarely the success we achieve. It is the kindness we give away, and the hearts that continue carrying it long after we are gone.